This broadcast is presented in 4K HDR Ultra High Definition. Presented by Horns and Hooves Entertainment. You are watching Buffalo After Dark. Right. Welcome to Buffalo After Dark, everybody. It is July 6th. Of course, it's Wednesday night. Sean will be here later. Bob, you're here with us now. How's your week going, and how was your nice little holiday?
It was good. Thank you for asking, Tom. I appreciate that. It was good overall. I'm just enjoying a couple burners for the show, and yeah, I'm excited to get going. And
Yeah.
I will say this: 2 more shows before I get married.
Right. I know. Just think about it. It's like, man, once we get to episode 99, we're pretty much done for the season, except for the top 5.
Oh yeah, definitely. But that won't be out till later, of course.
Right. For sure. Yeah. And then, of course, I'll be invading Long Island in a couple weeks. So we'll have some
Fuck
fun
me.
times with that, man. Get to watch you walk the aisle and get drunk.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then raise a big glass of champagne to go with it.
Yes, for sure. Good stuff. Yeah, and
Absolutely.
then yeah, so far my week's been pretty good. It's been week 1 on the new job, so that's going well, and no complaints about that. And then of course had my birthday on Monday, which I enjoyed that. Got to spend some time grilling and just enjoying everything. And then here we are. So it's all good.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So that being said, a lot of stuff to talk about. So let's make this hour count. If you want to jump in on the show, 92920560099 gets you on the air. We have the Facebook chat up and running. So of course, if you guys want to comment, feel free, have a take, don't suck. And let's get right off to it. Cleveland got destroyed in this trade today. So Baker Mayfield goes to Carolina for a conditional 5th round pick. And basically, just Baker Mayfield has to pass a physical.
He will. I mean, it's already being addressed. He's going to pass that physical regardless. But those who have been living under a rock, because Tom didn't know about this until like maybe an hour before 5 o'clock, because the trade happened around 1:30, and I was probably the first one to get the note among everybody in this table. And I got the note around 1:30 because I was doing a garbage run at my job. And all of a sudden, I get a note from Ian Rappaport because he was the first one, I think, to report it. And it was saying that Baker Mayfield has agreed to a trade that will send him to the Carolina Panthers for a conditional 5th round pick. And the pick becomes a 4th if he plays 75% of the season, which most likely it will become a 4th round pick.
I mean, seriously, Browns, you screwed this one up. So not only did you get rid of the QB that got you to the playoffs and actually got you a playoff win, but now you still have to worry about Deshaun Watson and his 26 lawsuits.
I honestly find it interesting as shit when you deeply think about this, Tom. I find it interesting the Cleveland Browns this whole offseason traded away 3 first-round picks and spent $230 fucking $million on a quarterback, all for that to start Jacoby Brissett.
And Jacoby Brissett's not going to get you to the promised land.
Far from it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's not exactly the best quarterback we've ever seen in the NFL by any means.
Oh, no, far from it. But I will say this, though. Here's more to the deal that I bet you haven't heard yet. The Browns, according to Mike Garafolo, he said the Browns will pay Baker Mayfield $10.5 million this season, which means they trimmed over $8 million in cash and then salary cap space. The Panthers will pay Mayfield $5 million, and Mayfield agreed to the trim, and $3.5 million of that will be based off his salary.
Oh, Cleveland. You need
What is
either
wrong with these people? I don't understand. What the fuck what are the Cleveland Browns doing? Can someone explain that to me?
I mean, my guess is this. They're either high, hooked on bath salts, smoking crack, or getting drunk, or all the above. I mean, the whole way they handled Baker Mayfield makes absolutely no sense.
No, far from it. And you know what, too? If you think about it, like you said before, Baker Mayfield has been the first Browns quarterback to win a playoff game since freaking Bernie Kosar, which was what, 30, 40 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then right out of the bat, they're like, okay, we need to get better. How do we help Baker out? Oh, simple. Let's just throw him under the bus and then sneak around him and then try to pursue Deshaun Watson. If you remember 3 months ago about how there was a massive sweepstakes between Deshaun Watson with the Atlanta Falcons, the Carolina Panthers, and the Atlanta Falcons and the Cleveland Browns, who were originally supposed to be out. They said, no, you're not going to Cleveland. And then the next day, after they were declaring they were out, the Browns still tried and they said, okay, Deshaun, we're desperate for a quarterback. We want to be good. Do you want to come to Cleveland? And he's like, no, I'm not coming, but I'll only come if you give me $230 million guarantee, which was the stupidest fucking thing they ever did.
Yeah.
And they also gave away 3 first-round picks to an alleged sexual predator. And he's probably going to be likely, if more than likely, suspended for a year and may never see the field for the Cleveland Browns.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then it's like at the same time, the Browns given 3 first-round picks. I mean, you could have used that to draft and build around Baker Mayfield. There really wasn't that much left they had to do.
No, and that's the thing too, is the Browns had all the pieces in place. If they kept Baker Mayfield, I think they would have been in a much better position than they are in right now, because they went 5-10 years backwards, hands down. I don't care what the conditions are for Deshaun Watson. The fact of the matter is that when you put so much on the line for a guy like Watson, who hasn't played football and sat out for an entire year because of a contract dispute with the Houston Texans, of course, and then trading away DeAndre Hopkins without even consulting him, that speaks volume. And the worst part is, and we talked about this a few weeks back, is the Texans knew everything about the sexual assault allegations with all the massages because they helped them with all that. So it's not only the Cleveland Browns that are involved, it's the Texans. So both sides are in complete fault. But as of Cleveland, for this trade alone, they have been completely exposed by Baker Mayfield for the fact of how corrupt they truly are.
Yeah. And think about it. He had a good wide receiver core around him. I mean, he had Jarvis Landry, he had OBJ. I mean, he had some good tools with him.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, when I heard that when they traded for Amari Cooper, I was like, okay, maybe the Browns are doing something right. And I'm like, okay, well, the Cowboys were desperately trying to get rid of Amari Cooper because of his salary, so they had to get some dump, out of the way, so cap dump. And now you look at the situation and you were thinking, oh shit, Deshaun Watson and Amari Cooper, that's going to be a hell of a 1-2 punch. So Amari Cooper, if you think about it, is really the big loser in this whole deal. Robbie Anderson's pissed off because he has Stockholm syndrome, having to blame Darnold for so long. And now Baker Mayfield is going to probably end up taking the job, and he's going to be the Panther starter. Is he a long-term answer? No. Is he a short-term answer? Yes. But if he turns into Justin Herbert or any of these guys, then I think the Panthers got a rock-solid deal out of this trade. Even if it doesn't work out, it's still thrilling that they were actually going out willing to get him for that price.
Yeah, Carolina is going to be a nice spot for him. And I mean, it's like, I know Adam, we were talking off the air, and he's really looking forward to this because he can finally say bye-bye Sam Darnold. So
yeah, he was not happy. I remember when we had him on the show last year when Darnold got traded, he was not happy. But unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it this time with the trade. So I want to share some comments with you guys because I think this is hysterical. And I sent him the notification about the trade around 1:34. And I said, Baker Mayfield has been traded to the Panthers. And I gave him all the conditions, all that. And I asked him, so what do you think of the trade? He said, it's better than Darnold, laugh out loud. And I said, you happy with it? Are you mad, or it's just okay in general? And he said, it's definitely good, but man, it's all right. And I said, they gave up way less than people suspected they would. And then moments later, he says, I just realized the Browns play the Panthers in week 1 in Charlotte. And I said, oh my God, with a big crying face. No fucking way. And he says, yep. And I said, and it's in Charlotte. And I said, that's going to get a lot of attention, especially after today. And he says, yep. And I said, the Browns are a bunch of incompetent morons. And he says, that's a polite way to put it. Another Browns fan, or a lot of Browns fans, are trying to act like it was a good move. I'm like, yeah, okay. Baker should have never been thrown under the bus to begin with. And he says, I love it. And I said, we're talking about the trade tonight on the show, just in case you were wondering. And he says, I won't be around, unfortunately, but fuck Darnold. He ain't going to win quarterback number 1 over Baker. Not a chance. And then, and I said, Baker has this in the bag. And he says, yep. And he says, not a chance. Basically, he's pretty satisfied with the trade.
Yeah. I mean, Carolina got him for nothing, basically. So
yeah, but I will say this though: do you think Baker Mayfield will have a good chemistry with DJ Moore?
I think it'll come in time. I mean, it's got to be better than Darnold.
Oh, by far. I mean, Darnold is ass at this point. It's
Right.
official. I mean, he's been in the league now for almost 5 years, and we can declare that Sam Darnold is in fact a bust.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Mayfield's done better in that time than Darnold ever did.
Well, Baker's not that bad. I mean, I know people give him a lot of shit, but
Mhm.
he's honestly not that bad.
Right. I mean, he actually made it work with a crap Browns offense.
Oh, far from it.
So, I mean, he's definitely not ass by any means. I mean, it's just the way that the Browns treated him. And our Rochester reporter Jeremy Macbeth is in the chat, and Jeremy said they're my team. What a bunch of clowns!
Wait, Jeremy's a Browns fan?
Yeah, Jeremy said they're my team. He's in the chat. Jeremy, call in if you're not at work.
Holy shit.
Yeah, call in 92920560099. Let's talk about it, man.
Oh my god, what a fucking clown show.
Yeah. And I'll have to take you up on Amherst tickets maybe next season. So
Oh god. Fucking Cleveland, man.
oh
The team that keeps on giving.
yeah, seriously. But I mean, that being said, though, oh my god, the fact that Carolina got him for nothing.
Jesus
It's
Christ.
almost as bad as in the NHL when you give away somebody for future considerations.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Far from it.
It's almost that bad. But
Fuck. But no, I
uh,
do, but I definitely think the Panthers won this trade. If they give him the right pieces to work with, because at this point, Baker Mayfield has a great opportunity to be a good starting quarterback at this point. Because again, when you leave Cleveland, 9 times out of 10, a lot of the players either pan out or they suck. It really just
Yeah.
depends on the location. But I think I'm very confident in Baker with this ability because when he plays his best football, when there's a chip on his shoulder.
mhm. Very true. Very true. So it'll be good to see, and we'll definitely be watching when it comes around week 1. That'll definitely be an interesting matchup to keep an eye on. So,
Oh, by
so
far.
yeah. So that being said, we're gonna jump into some hockey, and we're gonna probably be in hockey the rest of the show. But one of the big things that came out within the last couple of days, former Sabre Mike Greer has been named the GM of the San Jose Sharks, and I want to say this first and foremost. I always liked Mike Greer when he was here both times with the Sabres.
I
Gritty
like
player, tough guy, but he always did well for everybody. And he was definitely one of those guys that had a really nice veteran presence on him. And he made news because of the fact that he is the first black GM in the NHL. And and Jeremy Macbeth says, "Thanks for another kick in the balls, guys."
Jeremy,
Solid, man.
I think listen, Jeremy, before we move forward, I think it's safe to say the Browns have been kicking you in the crotch, or if not at this point, near like they've been kicking you in the balls for at least the last 20 years or so, except for the one good year the Browns have had with Baker Mayfield, and they fucking blew it.
Yeah, and Mike Holmgren couldn't even save him either.
Nope. Not even Freddie. I don't understand. Why would anybody want to be a Cleveland Browns fan? That's what I mean, no disrespect. Like, why would you want to be a Cleveland Browns fan? Like, why did you become a Browns fan if you live in Rochester or Buffalo, wherever it is you're from, man?
Who knows? Who knows? But anyways, but with Mike Greer being named the GM of the San Jose Sharks, I mean, I like this move quite a bit because, I mean, he's definitely been in the game for a long time. He understands the game pretty well, and now he's getting a chance to actually build a roster. And one of the things he wants to do, of course, I mean, he said the usual stuff that a lot of first time GMs will say, where they want to build something for the long term and have it sustainable. But I do think Greer has I think he'll be a very nice overall choice long term for them, and I hope he is. I definitely want to see him do well with it.
I definitely think so. I also have to point out real quick on one quick note is his brother Chris Greer is currently the general manager of the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, so I mean, and considering everything that Miami's gone through now, I don't know if Chris Greer was involved like in the whole thing going back to Flores, but I mean, same thing. I mean, they have the GM pedigree in the family, so I mean, I hope it goes well for them. Honestly, I really do because I want to see them build a good team out west.
Absolutely. I think they will. But the difference between where Mike Greer is and where Chris Greer is, Chris Greer completely fucked up the situation with Brian Flores and the Miami Dolphins. I mean, he's been in the jam long enough. A lot of Dolphins fans have mixed feelings for him. I mean, he went out and got, Tyreek Hill, but that doesn't mean shit, at this point. You have to have results to be a good general manager. And Chris Greer, since I've long as I've known him as far as being in the executive role, I don't know if he'll last long enough. I don't know. We'll have to find out. But for
Right.
Mike Greer, though, Mike Greer is in a whole different situation. Mike Greer is going into being the first black GM in NHL history, which is great because I think the league is way overdue for a black GM or a female GM. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think the league is way overdue for it. But I'm glad though it was Mike Greer of all people that got picked the job. But again, if he can follow within his footprints, of his brother being again the GM of the Dolphins, I think that if he structures the team like it's supposed to be and with good drafting and good trades and free agency, etc., I think he's got his hands full. I definitely think that it's going to take a while for the Sharks to get back to where they need to be. But I think with Mike Greer knowing the area and having to live there, I think it's safe to say that, he'll bring a lot of veteranocity and he's a good leader in the locker room and all that stuff. So I think we'll see where it goes from here with Mike Greer. That's
Yeah.
what I think. But congratulations to Mr. Greer and on getting the job. And I'm very happy for him.
Yeah, definitely. And even Seattle's AHL team, the Coachella Valley Firebirds, hired the first ever assistant coach is a female.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, the Devils did the same exact thing today too, which is really ironic. I didn't think it was going to be important to bring it up because there was already an assistant GM that was already a female up in the office, but I may as well just bring it up since we're in this discussion. Is the Devils today have hired Kate Madigan as an assistant GM, and Madigan has been with the Devils since 2017, mind you, and is taking over the role as an analyst, the director of professional scouting, and the director of hockey operations before being named the assistant general manager of the New Jersey Devils. So she's been with the team for a while. So for her to get promoted, she must have done something right.
Yeah. Yeah, and good for her, and good for Seattle's AHL team as well. I mean, it's nice to not see all the same retreads that we've been used to for all these years. I mean, it's nice to see some new blood getting a shot.
Yeah, and I think it's only going to grow from here. I think there's going to create a lot of diversity. And I'm not one of these people that will say, oh, we don't need diversity. I'm like, yeah, I'm open to diversity. I don't care what your skin color is or your nationality. If you can do the job, then I think, people have an opportunity.
Right, for sure. So we'll see how things go. And it's something where, at this point, I mean, obviously it's going to be based on performance, but at the same time, let's see where it goes. Let's see where it goes for Mike Greer, and let's see where it goes for Madigan and everybody else. So,
Without a doubt.
yeah, for sure. But one of the things that we'll also get into, and I wanted to do this before we get into some of the coaching changes, but there was actually a notable death in the NHL this past week with Brian Marksman from the San Jose Sharks.
Yeah, he died earlier today in Montreal, but they said he was what's it called? They have not figured out how he passed away. All they know is that he was in Montreal. And he was one of the nastiest enforcers in the late 80s, early 90s. I will say that about Brian Marchment is I know he played for San Jose, he played for Winnipeg, he played for Chicago, he played for a lot of teams. He played for Colorado, Toronto, Calgary, etc. He was all over the place. And ironically, he is the father of current UFA Mason Marchment. So that's really interesting. I didn't know that. I thought they were unrelated, but quite frankly, they are. So it's really sad how it came out to be. And, it's a sad state of affair. I mean, he was only 53 years old. That is honestly just way too young.
Yeah.
At that point. It is
exactly.
way too young. So,
yeah. So basically, Brian Marshman's family, may he rest in peace. We're all thinking of him, and, we remember his career.
Absolutely. No doubt about that. And, the San Jose Sharks, just in general, this week have been pretty busy with Mike Greer and now Brian Marchment and all that stuff.
Right. But, it's, loss of a good player, good longtime person in the league. But at the same time, to San Jose, they're gaining a good person in the league as well. So it's goes both ways sometimes, I guess, but still never like to see loss of anybody too young like that.
No, far from it. Far from
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
speaking of San Jose, it was announced today by the NHL. It was supposed to come out tomorrow, but they apparently did it today. Is the San Jose Sharks, because we're talking about Brian Marchment and Mike Greer here, is the San Jose Sharks are expected to be playing over in the NHL Global Series in the Czech Republic with the Nashville Predators at the O2 Arena in Prague, Czech Republic on October 7th, which is a Friday, and Saturday, October 8th. So October 7th and October 8th, they're both playing in the O2 Arena in the Czech Republic between San Jose and Nashville.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting matchup. So I mean, you've got that going on. You got Mike Greer as the new GM, and apparently the Sharks have come out and said that they're getting a new scoreboard for 2022. So
did they really already said that?
Yeah, they actually did report that.
God damn, I didn't even know that. I heard the Chicago Bears, which I know is a whole different story, but I heard that they were settling in on a possibility of adding a dome to Soldier Field to prevent the Bears from moving.
Yeah, I haven't heard that story yet, but the funny thing is with the San Jose Sharks, though, their scoreboard went in the same year that ours did at the KeyBank Center.
Interesting. So the Sharks are getting a brand new scoreboard.
Yep.
Interesting. I had no idea.
And of course, ours, which craps out, which I've been to games where the screen blacks out. Apparently, they still haven't taken my suggestion of building a brand new board, at least as of yet. But
you do know you're only 1 out of a million people.
Yeah, I know.
So
I know.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, very true. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, I did put it in the right hands, and who knows where it ended up. But
but for sure,
we shall see eventually.
Yeah, and speaking of Nashville, because I mentioned them playing in the Czech Republic with San Jose, the Predators, day before the 4th of July, for those who had who celebrated Happy 4th of July, the Nashville Predators decided to make headlines just the day before the holiday, and they started to make a trade. Did you hear about this?
Yeah, Ryan McDonough.
Yeah,
so goes to the Preds, and Tampa Bay basically did it all as a salary dump.
Yep. So for those who haven't heard, Ryan McDonough was traded to the Nashville Predators on July 3rd in exchange for players Philip Myers and Grant Mismash. What a fucking name. Grant Mismash.
Yeah, really.
What a name. But no, as far as like salary cap go wise, I don't know how much Ryan McDonough's making. But I do know for a fact that Nashville now had the money to do it. So I'm glad though that, the salary cap is coming to bite Tampa in the ass because it's been way overdue since, Tampa Bay was manipulating the roster, the system. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
and it makes the Preds a lot stronger too, especially up front.
Yeah. And to answer your question, Ryan McDonough is making $6.75 million until 2026. So he has 4 more years of his contract at 33 years old. So, yeah, Ryan McDonough, will definitely bring some, leadership into the role on that solid blue line. I think Nashville is trying to desperately go back into the form of the early mid 2010s with Ryan Suter and Shea Weber and Roman Josi and all those guys. I mean, it's Tampa Bay. I mean, it's Nashville, excuse me. And Nashville has a reputation of developing really solid defensemen.
Yep. So good move by the Preds. I mean, hey, Tampa, you could only do it for so long, right?
Yep. I mean, they're getting a 2-time Stanley Cup champion on their team. Let's be honest.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good thing. And they're good thing for the Preds. So, we could definitely say that. But one of the next stories that we're going to talk about, and this we'll go a little more in depth with before we get into the scheduling. But of course, if you guys want to jump on, 929-205-6099 gets you on the air. We're actually live on Facebook today, so feel free to hit up the chat if you'd like. And one of the big stories, and this is actually kind of what we titled the episode tonight, Russian interference. This was a big story that broke out, and it involves a lot of players, but one of the most notable players right now is basically Kirill Kaprizov.
Yeah, Kirill Kaprizov. Yeah.
Kaprizov.
Yeah, but I will tell you though, guys, before we dive into the story, if you're here for the sports stuff, that's great. But I also want to mention that this will get political. So just giving you a warning right now. If you don't want to listen to it, that's fine. But this is important and it needs to be addressed. And it's not anything about what's going on in the United States, but it's going on in Russia because this is a pretty big story. So we might as well just bring it up. So
Yep.
where do we
and
begin?
involves a bunch of players. So, and it could have some other implications as we get closer to the NHL season. So it's definitely one of those stories. Hey, we want to talk about it.
Yeah, for certain. So here we go. So this whole thing started out on Friday. What's today? Wednesday?
Yep.
So this story has been divided into 5 days from that Friday, which was last week, to tonight. So we're getting to that today. So Philadelphia Flyers prospect goalie Ivan Fedotov, who was picked by the team in the 2015 NHL draft in the seventh round, is being detained by the Russian government for draft evasion and is being forced to enlist in the Russian army. So like I said, Fedotov was, or Fedotov, whatever you want to call it, was again a seventh round pick in 2015 by the Philadelphia Flyers, is coming off a stellar season with the CSKA Moscow in the KHL, where he helped the team win the Gagarin Cup and also won the award for the best goalie in the KHL. But in late April, so this is where things got interesting. In late April, Fedotov announced that he was leaving the CSKA Moscow to sign his entry-level deal with the Philadelphia Flyers. Because the CSKA is run by the Russian military ministry, or the Russian defense ministry, excuse me, he was already technically considered enlisted, and he was accused of illegally terminating his contract with the team because he had not yet served in the Russian army.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and there's also this. In some league circles worry that if Russian players could have trouble returning to North America later this year, according to The Athletic. Given Russia's invasion of the Ukraine and friction between them and the United States and Canada for ongoing sanctions, there was worrying around the league that players who travel home to Russia for the offseason might not be allowed to return home. And Russia Prime Minister or President Vladimir Putin's comments in March caused a lot of distress around the NHL when he called the Russians living in the West, quote, scum and traitors. And then Putin seemed to be complaining about citizens who earn money in the West, within, Western civilization. And then returned to Russia with their, quote, slavish thinking. Although unlikely, nobody knows exactly what will happen with the Russian players looking to return to North America at the end of the summer. Quote, it's a big unknown. So that's one part of the story. And this is where things went from holy shit to where this is going too far. So, right. So now we go back to the Fedotov character. Ivan Fedotov was arrested on Saturday for allegedly evasion of his military service in Russia. And Ivan was hospitalized and, quote, does not look good at all after being given injections that were supposedly prescribed by doctors. And his family was denied entry to the hospital to see him. And the Russian military members are both inside and outside of the hospital while he was present. And on top of all this, he was detained in St. Petersburg for allegedly evading the mandatory military service, which you have to, if you play in the KHL or if you play in the CSKA, by law in Russia, you have to serve the military, in the Russian military, the Russian army and all that. So you kind of get where I'm going with this. So Fedotov was sent to what is called the Severomorsk in the Kola Peninsula at night. So if you're interested in what that is, it's kind of like an outdoor cold prison, basically. It's kind of like the gulags, like in the lands of Joseph Stalin and all that. But according to his lawyer, he said earlier in that day that Fedotov's whereabouts were unknown and that he was reportedly missing. And Severomorsk is the key base and headquarters for Russia's President Vladimir Putin's Northern Fleet. And the Northern Fleet is the Russian Army's fleet in the Arctic. And Fedotov was detained on Friday at a St. Petersburg ice rink. And the police then took him to the military enlistment office and accused him of trying to dodge the draft while at the enlistment office. He felt ill and was rushed to the hospital via ambulance. And his lawyer told the Russian media that Fedotov was, quote, given some kind of injections and he didn't understand, and that Fedotov's family were not allowed to see the goalie in the hospital, which we've already mentioned before. And this gets a lot worse. And the reason for the arrest of Ivan Fedotov was due to the purchase of a falsified military ID. And authorities knew about this, but he didn't take action. But the authorities did not take action until he signed his ELC with the Flyers and then planned on moving to North America. And he will now play for the Russian naval team in the 2022-23 season. And that's not really icing on the cake lands, my friends. So according to Andrew Sodonarski, he's reporting upon hearing about the arrest of Ivan Fedotov, Minnesota Wild superstar Kirill Kaprizov reportedly immediately returned to the United States, and his name is being linked to the fraudulent military IDs that were being sold to players, including Fedotov and Kaprizov, who is now wanted by Russia, according to the Sports Express. And it's gotten to the point now where Kaprizov is a wanted man in Russia who I said before was buying allegedly a fake military ID card. And this happened in 2017, just 5 years before he came into the league, and was turned to the United States. And it just gets worse. So then 3 more players on the current KHL of the CSKA were arrested. It could serve up to 12 years in prison for the falsified military IDs in Russia.
Wow.
I know that was a mouthful, but I had to address that.
Yeah, and they already have enough problems with the Ukraine and everything else going on. Which, I mean, we're not going to really get into that because that's just beyond political at that point. But
yeah, but like that's the thing I hate about sports, especially in today's society, is how politics takes a big part of people's livelihoods. If you're not from the United States, then you clearly don't understand what's going to happen in other countries. And Russia is no exception. Russia clearly wants to go back to the days of the USSR, the Soviet Union, etc. But that's what happens with leadership sometimes, is the moral code of human beings and morality is clouded, and to the point where you invade another country and now you're trying to make other people join your army by having a military ID card, which you have to have in Russia to begin with. This is not me saying, oh, I hate Russia or anything like that or anything. It's just the reality of the situation. Because if you see players all across the KHL and the CSKA play over in Russia, you have to serve the military, regardless if you want to play there or not. That's what happened with Alexander Mogilny. He was he almost dodged the draft in Russia, and he obviously escaped from Moscow and came over to the United States and was told, after you're done playing, you're coming back to serve the Russian army.
Yeah, and he never went back. So. And I remember at the time with Mogilny, there was a lot of stuff about death threats and all this stuff that came up. And I mean, he went through a lot of issues back, and this was back around 88, 89, the early 90s. And I mean, it got to the point where, I mean, it finally eased up, but it was definitely public knowledge back at that time that he was having to deal with all of that.
Yeah. And if you remember earlier in the year, Alex Ovechkin was being given threats by the public for his comments saying, "Oh, I support Vladimir Putin." That's the thing, is patriotism from any human being in any country should not be, what's the word I'm looking for? It shouldn't be exposed to the point of somebody liking somebody else and then being canceled for it. That's not fair to the person, because that's genuinely their opinion. But I'm not defending Russia by any means, but that's just genuinely what's going on. Is the Russian military is required for men over the age of 18 to serve in the army. And for anybody in the KHL, because again, like I said, the KHL and the CSKA are owned by the Russian Defense Military institution. So you have to take it into account. And again, I'm not defending Russia, but that's the reality of the situation.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, in the rules that they have over there, and I did a little bit of looking up on this, but in Russia, it's called conscription. And basically any man between 18 and 27 years old is subject to 1 year of service. So it's not like it's an insane amount of time, but basically they are required to serve 1 year.
Yeah, 1 year. And you know what? There are people that are Russian in the NHL that went back and served the military. I think that happened to Sebastian Aho. I think that's what I'm thinking. I know he's not Russian, but I think he served the Finnish army at one point and graduated. I really don't remember, but I remember reading something about it. But, if it's 1 year, it shouldn't really affect you. But you also have to take it into account. If there's ever a war, all these people that go to the military have to serve.
Right.
They have to serve. They have to fight. There's no way around this. That's how communist countries like Cuba and China and Russia even all get their men in line because they force them to serve in the army for their country, because that's generally how it works in their system. But in the United States, you get to choose if you want to serve or not. Or some people, I would love to fight, but I didn't have, they don't take people in the best conditions. Like I'm on the autism spectrum, so they can't have people like me be serving in the army because they need people who can focus. They need people who can do all those things. And even if I wanted to go, when I was a kid, my parents would say, no, you can't serve the army because, you have a disability. And not to say it would take anything away from me, but, they wouldn't let me do it at that point because it's just really, really risky.
Right. Yeah, and I mean they did change some different things over the years. I mean, after the USSR had its downfall and they basically ended up turning into well, after a collapse of the Soviet Union. I mean, originally it was 3 years, then it eventually dropped down to 18 months in 2006 and then well, actually 2007 and then it dropped down to a year in 2008. So I mean, yeah, it's changed. Um we won't get into the other stuff that I mean we've seen with Russia because I mean everyone can make up their own mind on what's going on over there, but I mean at the same time it is just a messed up story.
It truly is. And you know what? Ivan Fedorov, if he knew that he was supposed to serve in the Russian army, I would have just suck it up and just did it. Because what if you didn't have to go to war? What if you just had to serve in the military base or something like that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because again, in order to play in these leagues, you have to serve the military, period. And I'm not standing or buying anybody. I'm not being political. That's just the truth. When you serve in your country, again, everybody has different rules, but Russia, again, they have some form of communism when it comes to the military, and it hasn't changed.
Right. And a lot of other countries, worldwide is something where, a lot of other countries force that. I mean, I'll even say this. I looked up one of the biggest countries on earth, China. Conscription of males aged 18 to 22 for 24 months service is legal, but it's never been needed. So
But
they're not
again,
even drafting people.
no, they don't. I don't even honestly think they have to. But look at what's this? What's the
Yeah.
age rate for Cuba? What's the age rate for Cuba?
Let's see.
What's the age rate? Because I know for a fact that, again, while you're doing that, China is a communist country, so they can easily pull their men out of their homes by force to have them serve in the army. And if
Yeah.
they don't, they get executed. Same in Russia.
Yeah. So basically, right now it's Cuba between 16 and 28,
Oh my
3-year
God.
minimum.
My God. 16 years old?
Yeah. And usually they don't call anyone until they're 17, but basically what happens is it's a 3-year requirement. And apparently the other thing, I mean the whole thing after Fidel Castro died, I mean that's different, but apparently the only way you're exempt from military service is either you have to be declared mentally or physically handicapped by the recruitment board, and those are the only ways that you get exempt from military service. They say that you can potentially defer military service, but you're never exempt from it. So basically what happens is even if you're a sole caretaker of 2 or more dependents, good luck, you're still not exempt.
They don't give a shit.
Exactly. And apparently now women are basically known to voluntarily enlist in service, but apparently what happens is if they do enlist, minimum 2 years.
That's insane. But the only thing is with the women, not to be sexist, but they don't go out and fight in the battlefield.
Yeah, but yeah, Cuba 3-year minimum.
Like I said, I don't agree with the whole forcing joining the army thing. I just don't. I mean, I may be kind of ignorant, but that's just my opinion personally. If I were ever in that situation, I probably would end up in the military at most. If my age rate is almost, I'm going to be 30 in 2 months. I probably wouldn't be serving by now because by that point, I would have already been serving my time.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, if I was forced in, I would have already been done and over with. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, it's just interesting, like what some of these different countries have. But I mean, Russia's the big one that got named because of these hockey players. And I mean, we seem to forget, some of the other country requirements and what some of these other places do. So it's, it'll be an interesting story to follow, for sure. And especially to see how it all folds out, because I mean, I have a funny feeling that there's going to be more to it.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? I would not be surprised, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised either. And I'm not trying to, hurt people's feelings or saying I'm a douchebag. But if Kirill Kaprizov is proven guilty of the false identification, he
Mhm.
will get sent back to Russia and he'll serve jail time. This is
Right.
if that story is true, that is a serious felony
Mhm.
from a Russia standpoint.
Right. I mean, and just reading about it, watch, they'd probably throw at least 10 years at him. That's just my guess.
Maybe more. I don't know. I heard
Right.
12. I mean, I read 12, but we'll see. Hey,
Yeah,
Sean,
for sure.
Going on, gentlemen?
How's it going?
So, not much. So, what I miss?
Well, we're
a
talking about the whole Russian army scandal with some of the NHL players.
yeah, Kirill Kaprizov, to give you a quick, brief idea, Ivan Fedotov, who was a 7th-round pick by the Flyers in 2015, is being under arrest by the Russian military for having a falsified identification for the military because he plays in the KHL. It's mandatory to serve in the Russian army, and he's trying to dodge the draft.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a big no-no.
Yeah, and Kirill Kaprizov, who's one of the Minnesota Wild's best players, and God knows how long, is being allegedly accused of having one as well since 2017 when he tried to sign up for the Russian army. And because he got drafted, he came over to North America, and they're saying now that he has a fake ID for the military. And if it's convicted true, he's going to end up getting arrested and, and get sent to the gulags, perhaps, maybe serve 12 years in jail time.
Jeez, man. What in the world?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were just comparing Cuba, China, and Russia with their military ruling. And the age consent in Cuba is 16 to 28. And in countries like China and Russia is 18 to 26, Tom?
Yeah, well, Russia's 18 to 26. China, same thing, but there's no mandatory requirement. Russia's a 1-year mandatory. Cuba, though, 3-year minimum.
And that's just to serve the army.
Wow.
Like, I would proudly represent the army in the United States, but I can't do it because of my mental disability.
Shoot, honestly, that's been, I mean, it kind of had me thinking, sometimes I wish I joined the army, but I don't know. I probably wouldn't have got in because of my, because of my eyesight. I don't know.
Yeah, the army, you cannot have fuck ups. You can't have poor eyesight. You can't have, bad limbs. You can't have a mental disability. You can't have anything like that. You have to have a sharp as a nail mentality to go into the army. And think of it like this. If you have 2 kids, Sean, and you're trying to run a family, if you're a newly born father or whatever, tough shit. They'll pull the kid right out.
Then maybe it is a good thing that I didn't even sign up.
In the Russian and Chinese or Cuban army.
Right. Any of them.
Yeah, but again, and I should have mentioned this earlier to you, was the CSKA and the KHL are both owned by the Russian Ministry of Defense organization. So it's mandatory to serve the army in Russia. And
Dang.
Ivan Fedotov and Kirill Kaprizov may have both allegedly dodged the draft. Fedotov has already been arrested, but Kaprizov could go to jail if he's convicted, which I hope that's not the case. But there's also been talks of Russian players not being able to come back to North America, and he may never play again. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there was a lot you missed.
Big part of the show tonight, and even me, I probably wouldn't have been able to get in anyways, because I mean, let's see, I've got the astigmatism, and then also my left knee, I've torn the tendon twice, and it's almost bone on bone. So
Dang.
like if I want to pop my left knee, I can do so very easily.
Yeah, hands down. And I think you have to have a certain weight to it, I think, as well.
Right.
Yeah, the army is very strict, even in the United States.
Yeah, but honestly, these days with the recent army commercials they've been playing, I don't even know about that anymore.
We'll see. We'll see what happens in 5 years. That's the best way I can put it.
Very true.
Yeah.
But no, though, I sincerely hope that Kirill Kaprizov and his family are okay. And more importantly, I hope that most of the Russian NHL players are okay, because a lot of them live in the Moscow region. Alex Ovechkin is one, Kirill Kaprizov is another. So just to kind of give you an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But we'll get into some other stuff, and actually, it's good timing because we're gonna get into the schedules in just a few moments. But if you guys want to jump on, of course, Facebook chat is live 92920560099. You get to talk to all three of us. Couple big things that came out of the NHL also besides that story that we just talked about. But Detroit finally has a new coach.
Yep. And that new coach is Derek Lalonde, the assistant head coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning.
So anything's an improvement over Jeff Blazel.
Oh, Jeff Blashill was ass. Dude, there was talks of him going to the Winnipeg Jets, and then ended up being Rick Bowness. Really think about that.
I guess my question is, why would Winnipeg even consider Blazel?
Because the fucking idiots.
I mean, Bonus is a big upgrade over him.
Well, maybe Bowness is a defensive coach, and maybe that's why the Jets defense is so horrible. Maybe that's probably why they had to address it.
Right.
Oh, and one other thing too I will mention is while we're on top of the schedule, let's go over the season opener for everybody. So let's go around the table. Did you read the schedule, Sean, for the Kraken?
I did, and actually got it right here.
Yeah, you're playing on October 12th on Wednesday against the Ducks. That's going to be fun. And that game, I believe, is in Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, our first two games on the road against Anaheim and then against the LA Kings.
Yep. And then look who you have on that Saturday.
That's right. Season home opener against the Golden Knights. Can't wait.
Yep. So Sean will likely be missing 4 games for that time frame because we're all going to be in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the season opener against the Ducks, the home opener against the Vegas Golden Knights, and the season finale is against the Vegas Golden Knights.
Of course.
Have fun, guy.
Yeah, I'll try.
That's gonna be a fun opening week.
Yeah, I expect another losing record.
I actually don't, because there actually is something brewing about the Seattle Kraken, but I want to get to that in a bit. But let's get right to the New York Islanders, because let's go to my area, because the Islanders, they have a very interesting start to the season, and I'm waiting for Tom to pull that up. All right, here's the Island. All right, here comes the Islanders. Just waiting for the screen to be shared. There we go. All right, so as you can see, this is the Islanders' 50th anniversary this year for the 2022-23 season. As you can see in October, on Thursday the 13th, they're going to start the season off at home against the Florida Panthers.
Have fun with that.
Oh, man.
Have fun with that.
Yeah. Then backing it up with Anaheim right after.
Oh, gosh.
Yep, and then San Jose and then New Jersey right after that.
And then Tampa.
Oh, gosh. And facing Florida again.
Fine with me. But I will say this, though. I'm going to try my best to go to the game on the 26th against the New York Rangers. I'm going to try to go to that game.
Oh, that'll be good.
I'm going to try my best to go to that game. I will tell you, those games between the two sides is fucking bloody, dude. They absolutely hate each other.
That would be money to see right there.
For real.
Mm-hmm. And then they end the season off on April 12th against the Montreal Canadiens.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so it's going to be a very interesting thing. I will say, though, look at March. Buffalo twice at UBS Arena.
There you go.
Yeah, Buffalo. Yeah, Buffalo twice, and then Seattle on February 7th. I'm going to try my best to go to that game as well for Sean. I'm going to try my best.
Yeah. Yeah. And then another thing that's interesting, to round out October, you get the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, the reigning champs. And you know what? That's going to be really tough to decide between the Ranger game or the Avalanche game. I really don't know, but I think the Avs tickets are going to be a little more expensive, because especially now that they just won the cup. Right. So I don't know. We'll see. I thought for a second, Sean, that was a box of tissues.
I got a box of tissues right behind me.
Why? Just so that you're ready to cry out another season? Yeah, I know.
Hey, always come prepared.
Definitely. And then let's look at the Buffalo Sabres.
Yep. So there we go. And of course, the Sabres decided to not give us a bigger image of the schedule, but October 13th against Ottawa, the 15th against Florida. But one of the big things I'm looking forward to is November 10th when Vegas comes here.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
have fun
yeah.
with that.
Yep. That's gonna be Jack Eichel's first game back. Well,
Actually, well, second home game back.
yeah. You're right. The first one was on international television. That's why
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, that's right. And then in December 1st, the Colorado Avalanche.
Oh,
Ooh, that'll be a fun one.
That's just an ass kicking waiting to happen.
oh yeah.
Yeah. And then January 10th, that's 3 days after my dad's birthday, and 1 day before my sister's birthday, January 10th against the Seattle Kraken.
Mm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, we've got an away game against the Kraken in October on the 25th.
Fuck yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
of course, if we're talking about ass kickings, November 5th is when we play against Tampa.
November 5th against Tampa, and November 28th, 2 days after Thanksgiving, or whatever it is, 4 days after Thanksgiving, they play Tampa Bay. This schedule is so weird. Like, I don't care about it personally, as far as like, wow, what a big surprise. But I like that it's balanced out. But my favorite thing about the schedule that made me really happy is that they're going back to the traditional route of having the season start in October and then having the season end in April, which means
Right.
that if that's the case, then the Stanley Cup Finals will be in mid-June, not late June like this year.
Right. And actually looking at it, December 19th, we actually have an away game in Vegas this year.
Wow, look at
They're
that.
actually playing them twice, which is interesting.
Nice.
And then taking a look at some other stuff. I mean, well, let's see. I mean, we got Seattle twice this year. Let's see, we get the Avalanche a couple times this year. I mean, we've got that going on. But the interesting thing is we actually don't get the Maple Leafs in October. We don't actually see them until November 19th for the first time.
Hey, that's fine with me. I love kicking the Leafs asses in Toronto.
Yeah. And those are actually fun
Mhm.
games to go to because actually back when we had our old channel, Doug Lawson, who came on every now and then, and I still actually talk to him every so often too.
Yeah.
It's actually one of the Sabres games I went to before COVID hit was actually with him to a Leafs game. Of course, we saw Toronto and Buffalo fans get into a fight, and they had to close off one of the entryways into the seating bowl. And apparently, one of the Leafs fans ended up with a broken nose as part of it, and there was blood all over. There was a nice little fist fight.
Well, that explains that. But you know what? Go to the Islander schedule for a second, Tom, if you don't mind. Go to the Islander schedule. I want to see something for a second.
Yeah.
I know I mentioned I want to see when after October, I want to see when they play the New York Rangers. Give me 1 second, guys. I apologize.
Yeah, November 8th.
November 8th at the Garden, I
Yep,
assume?
November 8th will be in the Garden. October 26th is at UBS.
Here's one. December 22nd at the Garden.
Yep.
2 days before Christmas Eve. So the next one, son of a bitch. Where's the
Yep.
next fucking Ranger game? What?
It looks like that's it.
That's so stupid. They should have at least one more game in here.
Yeah, they've only
What?
got 3 of them.
Wow, they're really driving the Rangers away early. That sucks. I was gonna say to you, if the schedule was set for March, I would have said, dude, you should come down for a Ranger Islander game. Those are must-see games live.
Right.
You have to at least see one Islander Ranger game in your life.
Yeah.
Just one.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's interesting because you guys get Vegas a couple times this year also. On December 17th, you're playing it in Vegas, and then January 28th, they come to UBS.
Yeah. Bring up Carolina schedule because I think Sean is the closest to the Hurricanes as far as that area goes.
Yeah, I saw that one. It's on a Thursday.
For what? The Kraken?
Kraken Hurricanes game.
When is it?
Let me check it again. It is Thursday, December 15th.
December 15th in
Yeah,
Charlotte.
yeah.
You should go to that game. Nice little road trip.
Do they play in Charlotte or Raleigh?
It's in Raleigh. I keep thinking
Raleigh,
I keep thinking of the Panthers.
I mean, I mean, I thought about going, but then I would have to take some time off from work, and right now I cannot afford to do that.
Well, that's that.
It sucks, but
Yeah. And I think we can wrap up the show tonight with one last thing, and that is the draft. And there's been a lot of buzz about who's getting picked, who's getting traded, etc. Who's going to sign where as a free agent next week. There's a lot of fucking movement, but there's one person in particular I want to talk about tonight, and that is Nazem Kadri. Have you heard this lately, Sean?
I have not.
Well, the Seattle Kraken, according to Elliot Freeman of Sportsnet, he's reporting the Seattle Kraken will be in on Nazem Kadri, and they'll be an aggressive team. And they did not get Kevin Fiala because he was traded to the LA Kings, and they don't have prospect bases for the trade. However, here's another kick in the balls for you. The Kraken are going to be on him, but they're most likely willing to pay him $10 million per year.
For how many years?
I guess 7 years.
Dang, what in the world?
Yeah, that's big contracts, boy.
Yeah, what the freak?
Yeah, look at the one with Phil Grubauer got last year. I think it was like 27 million for 6 years or something like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, players get big boy bucks, and believe me, Nazem Kadri will definitely get signed by one of three things: either he'll stay with the Avalanche, or if he doesn't stay with the Avalanche, he's either going to go to a team that will give him the most money, which I think Seattle has a good shot at, along with Boston, if this is the $10 million range thing I'm talking about, or the Washington Capitals. I saw the Coyotes at one point, and I said, there is no way Arizona's getting caught.
He would never even consider them.
Never, not even the slightest. Maybe Seattle. I really wouldn't be surprised by Seattle, only because, like I said before, the Kraken have the money, but they wouldn't have the prospects to trade for him, for his rights, to say the least.
Right.
I also heard that they were interested in Anthony Beauvillier from the Islanders. That would piss me off if Lou Lamoriello decides to be a geriatric old fart and decides to trade Beauvillier to Seattle. All you're doing is just giving the Kraken more ammo to play with.
Right. Well, of course, Captain Lou already got rid of Trotz, so we know that he's willing to do pretty much anything.
Devin Taves, too, who, by the way, just kicked me in the crotch by saying, congratulations, Lou. I just won a Stanley Cup. Fucking asshole. Lou Lamoriello just needs to sincerely retire. He needs to shut the fuck up and go to retirement land. That's where he needs to go. He's 80 years old. He's a geriatric old man. His ideas are outdated. He needs to go. Bon voyage. See you later. Dos vidania. Sayonara. Goodbye. Fuck. Somebody please just kidnap Lou Lamoriello, put him in an egg sack, and just take him somewhere else, please. Other than outside of the UBS Arena, just bring him back to New Jersey, put him back in Toronto. Hell, put him in Arizona. Let him be the fucking GM.
He'd actually be an improvement for that team.
Yeah, he would be, but he was also outdated. Keep that in mind.
Right.
Fuck. I can't wait for tomorrow. It's the first round of the draft, and I don't even know if I'm going to be here for at least the first 10, 15 minutes of it.
Right.
Because I know you said earlier you wanted to do a little
thought about it.
May as well.
Thought about it. You know, it was thing is like, you know, if we were to run the live draft or something tomorrow, but you know, then at the same time, I mean, we can always break in with like different coverage and stuff like that. So there's things we can do.
Absolutely. And Sean, we didn't get your opinion earlier, but what do you think about the Baker Mayfield trade?
Oh boy, the Browns are really kicking themselves in the nuts.
Yes, they are.
And the fact, and to add insult to injury, Browns Panthers week 1. Oh, Baker Mayfield is gonna go off.
Did you hear about the other half of that trade?
No, what the Browns get?
The Browns are paying $10.5 million of his contract, and the Panthers are only paying $5 million.
Oh wow. Freaking Browns, man. What else can you say about them?
The most dysfunctional front office in the league.
Yeah, we went on a
Jeez.
tirade about the Browns earlier today.
Yeah. Although I know Luffy's going to be happy about it because he doesn't have to deal with Sam Darnold anymore.
That's not entirely true because he's still on the team.
Right, but
It's a matter of who's going to start.
oh, that's
Absolutely.
Mayfield.
Mayfield, hands down.
Yeah, I'm calling Mayfield also.
If you don't think that Baker Mayfield is not going to get the starting job, you're fucking delusional.
Yeah, I mean, after all, he did bring the Browns their first playoff game in who knows how long.
since
Yeah.
Bernie Kosar, which was 30 years ago.
Oh, jeez.
30 years ago, Sean.
Yeah, it's pretty bad because
Wow.
that's going back to before the original Browns moved to Baltimore.
Which I still do not understand.
Yeah. That still makes no sense. If you wanted to have a team in Baltimore, why not just freaking make a new team? Don't bring another team from another city.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Right.
come on, man. Same deal with the St. Louis. If you want to have a team in Los Angeles again, freaking bring only you. Come on, man. I don't get it. At least have the Chargers. They're already. I mean, they're already in the Southern California area.
Mhm.
Like, come on.
Yeah. And one more thing, Sean, and I have to ask you this because I think it plays a big part of you, is Mike Greer was named the first black GM in NHL history. How do you feel
Yep.
about that?
Hey, I'm all for it. I don't care about the skin color, but hey, shout out to him. Kudos to San Jose. Hey, I'm all for it.
Yep. And
Yeah, he was a good player too. I mean, I liked him
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
when he was here both times.
Yeah, I remember his time with the Sabres.
yep. And his brother Chris is the GM of the Miami Dolphins.
Yep.
Yeah, that should really explain everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, kudos to him.
Yeah.
Looking forward to see what he can do.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. And then the other thing we talked about a little earlier too was a couple women getting some assistant coaching jobs now, and one is with the Coachella Valley Firebirds, and then the other is with
Mhm.
Jersey. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all good with me. I mean, I saw an article I saw an ESPN article where they were talking about it, and you know what? Like, again, it's all well with me as long as you got the experience of it
Mhm.
to be a coach in the men's hockey, and I'm all for it, man.
yeah,
It all comes down to experience. I don't care about your race, color, or gender. I don't care. You got the experience. You're in.
yep. And that's how it should be. That's how it should be.
Yep.
But it's also cool to see some new people, new faces, new blood coming in, not same old retreads that we're used to seeing. And it's like, hey, I hope these guys do well.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's it for me as far as comments go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else other than, draft is tomorrow night, so we'll know by the end of tomorrow what the Sabres will do, especially with 3 picks in the first round, if they decide to use all of them or trade up or however they're going to work. But I mean, it's going to be an important draft for the Sabres no matter what, because I mean, it's a chance to bring in when you have 3 picks in the first round, that doesn't happen very often. So
No, and they're probably going to end up trading 2 of them.
Yeah. Well, whatever they do, they better make it count.
yeah,
Well,
That's all I got to say.
Does anybody
Exactly.
does anybody have a bold prediction for tomorrow's draft?
Not me.
I don't, unfortunately, but I mean, it's anybody's guess is what I could really say.
I agree with that. But here's my prediction. You ready? Alex DeBrincat, and this is a hot take for me. Alex DeBrincat will be traded to the Philadelphia Flyers.
Ooh,
That's what I think is going to happen.
that would be a big deal.
I think DeBrincat will be Alex DeBrincat will be a member of the Philadelphia Flyers by tomorrow night.
Okay.
Wow.
That's what I think. But what would the offer be? I only know for one thing is the Flyers are not willing to offer the 5th overall pick because the Flyers have a top 5 pick, and what they could give away is anybody's guess. But they could probably do other things. But we'll see what happens because Chicago already gave up a first round pick in the trade for Seth Jones last summer. So I don't think they want to do that again.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the picks out there, and I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if the Sabres go this route. But what I'm doing is I'm just pulling up like a couple different things here. But I will throw a takeout on here. So it's interesting because this year so far we have 11 picks in this draft.
Fuck yeah, they're going to use those picks and they're going to trade up and they're going to trade and get some assets, get some big name players. Listen, Buffalo has the money and the picks to do it, and they have the money to go to free agency as well. So at this point, it's anybody's guess. But the Buffalo Sabres, I would not be surprised if we're active tomorrow night. I also wouldn't be surprised if the Kraken were active too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
for sure, for sure. But I will throw a couple people out here. So, number one, for the Sabres, I will throw this take out there. Cutter Gauthier, left winger, possible. I wouldn't mind seeing him if they were to bring him in, but also knowing that the Sabres need a little bit of D, I wouldn't mind seeing Pavel Mintyukov out of the OHL.
Yeah, Daniil Goyev, I've heard that name. I actually heard he might go 16th overall to Buffalo tomorrow, but we'll see.
Right, two-way D. I mean, that's always a benefit.
Hell yeah.
You know, throw him in with Dahlin and those guys. Ooh.
Yeah, and I think Simon Nebich will go to the Kraken at 4th overall tomorrow.
Hmm.
That's what I think. The Kraken have a top 4 pick. So
Yeah.
wherever they go, the Kraken will have a high pick. So I think tomorrow night on ESPN is going to be worth looking at.
hmm
It starts at 7. So if you guys want to catch it, go right ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll say it's kind of interesting this year too, because in the top 40, there's a lot of centermen.
Yeah, and it's also not a very strong class either. It's
Right.
really it's like the NFL draft in 2022, this past year. It's like the NFL draft. Everybody kept moving up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, literally, once he got out of like the second round, that was it.
Yeah, basically. So this could
Right.
happen in the NHL draft. Buffalo and Arizona, Seattle. There's a lot of teams that have multiple picks.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if half of them were using their assets to make big trades and get big splashes. It's
Mhm.
very possible.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of when Aaron Ekblad was drafted to Florida, and like everything after that was just not even there.
Yeah, 2014 was a weak draft class. Nobody gave a shit. That's the problem.
Right. So, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting draft tomorrow night. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Sabres make one of those two moves, especially at that pick. So,
Isn't it ironic and it's sad when you think about the 2015 draft? Just one more comment from me is, don't you find it sad that that Leon Draisaitl and David Pastrnak were the 2 best players in that entire first round?
I would have never even thought that
Me neither.
back at that time.
Ekblad, maybe. Ekblad, Aaron Ekblad, had some injury issues, but I feel like, though, when you look at it from the ground up, he's actually a pretty good player for Florida.
Yeah, he's definitely been a big cornerstone of that franchise ever since he got drafted. So, but I would have never thought Draisaitl would play like he has.
Yeah, some people will make an excuse for him because, he had McDavid. I'm like, well, see what happens.
Right. Even when McDavid was out for injuries, Draisaitl stepped up.
Well, yeah, of course.
So, I mean, he's a lot better than a lot of scouts gave him credit for.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing either Mintyukov or Gauthier, as that pick. So, I mean, I definitely could see either one.
Yeah. So I think that's about it for me.
Yeah. Any other thoughts, Sean? Or
No, I think I'm good.
all right, same here. So of course, everyone that joined in, thanks for joining us. Jeremy, thanks for your comments as well. We gotta get you on here one of these days. It's been I don't think we've ever had you on the air, so we gotta get you on here. But in the meantime, you guys have a good rest of your week. And as usual, take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you next time.
You too. And enjoy the draft tomorrow, guys.
Yes.
Later.
Buffalo After Dark is an H&H Studio production and is produced in partnership with Horns and Hooves Entertainment.